What if someone is shy or maybe they've already got a book, maybe a draft, let's say a draft, but I mean, they're not keen on social media or, they cannot see themselves in doing public speaking, these kind of things. Like according to this marketing plan, that would be a problem for a person like this or not. Hi, today my guest is Sarah Bean. She's a book marketing specialist. She works at Book Launchers, which is a self-publishing company based in Nevada. They specialize in nonfiction. And I checked them out on YouTube because they have a YouTube channel. And I decided to invite Sarah to tell us a little bit about how we can market our book. So we've written a book, or maybe we are planning to write a book, but what can we do to market it? Because we want people to read it, right? So we need to put our book in front of the right readers. We don't just want people, we want the right readers, because we've written this book for a specific group of readers. So we want that specific group of readers to find it and to read it. So what are some of the options? What can we do realistically? And this doesn't have to be spamming people. This doesn't have to involve being on social media at all times. So Sarah she's an expert. She's been working in the publishing industry for 15 years. She's worked with New York Times best-selling authors. So she knows what to do. She also advises authors on what to do. And this is what this chat is all about. I will record a separate video on marketing because I have a few ideas on the topic. I can tell you what I do to market my books, what I did. And talking of book marketing, one thing that you can do if you have a YouTube channel, very simple thing, is to show it on camera. Now, enjoy the conversation. I hope you'll find it useful. I'll see you soon, like in a second. You're based in Nevada?
So I'm in Michigan. Our company is based in Nevada, but I am in Michigan.
All right. So you work remotely?
I do. Yeah. Our whole company is remote.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
I know. It gives a lot of flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're a book marketing specialist.
Yes. Yeah. Book marketing professional, expert, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to use the word specialist because it sounds great.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, book marketing specialist.
Yeah. So, what exactly does a book marketing specialist do? Like, how do you help people?
Yeah, absolutely. So when working with our book launchers, authors, what I generally do is I work with them to assess sort of what marketing tools do they already have in their arsenal? What do they already have? And then we look at, all right, you've got this book coming out. This is your starting point. Let's strategize on the pieces that you need to put in place to be able to launch effectively. So for some people, it could be helping them with branding and getting brand continuity between the book and what they're trying to build. For some people, it might just be creating book-specific marketing materials and things. But I work one-on-one with each of our clients on building that launch, understanding how the book fits into their bigger brand strategy, and how we can position it to achieve the goals that they're going for.
Right. So can you maybe tell us a successful story and a story about failure?
And when it comes to marketing
it
book?
comes to strategizing and marketing a book.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of success stories, I mean, thankfully, we've got quite a few to choose from. But generally, the success stories are going to come from the people who do the preparation. I think a lot of people dive into the book marketing process, or just the book process, going, the hard part's writing the book. But it's not. The hard part is then getting the book out the door and in front of the right readers. And so our most successful authors are ones that, put the pieces in place and then continually market their book Even after it comes out, they're continually engaging with it, whether it's speaking on stages and getting the book in front of those audiences or partnering with other people. So we have an author, Amani Roberts. He wrote a book called The Quiet Storm that came out in February 2025. And it was Amani's second book. His first book came out in 2020, and it did okay. It kind of grew a little bit over time, but Amani never stopped audience building. He had podcasts, he did speaking engagements, he just audience building. And he kept at it between the two books. Well, when he launched his second book, he had enough contacts in place that he was able to really push the pre-order, and he ended up becoming a USA Today bestseller because he put so many pieces plays ahead of time and had been doing the audience building over time. And so working with authors like that are kind of my favorite, because you get to see the actual rewards for all the hard work. You get to actually see it all come to fruition, which is, I think, really powerful. In terms of failure, I mean, I think the opposite is true. It's if you go into working on your book and don't consider marketing until your book is 1 week from being released, you're not going to have a very good launch. You're going to have to pivot after the launch. And so in terms of failure, I mean, I can't think of any like one specific story, but it's usually the authors who don't want to put the marketing pieces or the branding pieces in place that end up getting the biggest letdown after their book is out, because they haven't done that work, that preparation work.
And so what does the preparation involve?
So I think the preparation really involves understanding who you are trying to reach with your book and what your unique proposition is, what you're saying that's different and unique than any other authors out there. There's a million personal finance books out there. If you're writing a personal finance book, what is your take that is unique and different than anyone else? Because that's going to be your standpoint. That's going to be your platform. And so I think really, if you want to be able to do a launch correctly and put the right pieces in place, you have to start with the prep work of understanding your unique proposition, who your readers are, what problems are they dealing with, what do they struggle with, and how are you presenting something to them that nobody else has, because that piece is what's going to stand out in the market. Now, there's definitely logistical things you have to have in place in order to have a good, in order to be able to really market a book. Website, absolutely. That's your credibility builder. That's your home base. Active content, whether it is through a newsletter or on social media or in some other form, content out there that is attracting those readers is one of the most vital pieces. And then after that, the marketing really comes down to how are you getting in front of your audience? Putting it up on Amazon is not a marketing plan. You need to ensure that you are getting in front of those readers to drive traffic to your product pages. So that's through media outreach, that's through promotions, that's through partnerships, speaking engagements. So I say the website and content is the bare minimum. That's your foundation. And then you build everything else on top of that.
What if someone is shy or they don't... they've already got a book, maybe a draft. Let's say a draft. Okay, they've got their idea, and it's already there. It's on the desk. Yeah,
right.
But they've never. I mean, they're not keen on social media, or they're not. They cannot see themselves in doing public speaking, these kind of things. Like, would that be like, according to this marketing plan, that would be a problem for a person like this, or not?
Yes and no. I think the nice thing about the time that we're in is that there are content platforms that fit everybody. So if putting yourself on video is not the right move for you, you're shy, you don't want to be in front of video, there are platforms like Substack where it's article based and you are more putting out ideas as opposed to putting forth, all of those personal details. And I do have, so there's a social media platform for everybody in some regard, I think I would say. I would also say, I do talk to my authors about this a lot because we get a lot of people that come in that just say, I am not on social media. I don't enjoy it. Or due to the nature of their jobs and their regular work, social media is not an option for them. That's fine. If social media is not the option for you, great. But you then need to identify how you're going to get in front of your readers in real world situations. Okay. Yeah. So whether that is doing a library event or whether that's speaking in your local area or even just showing up at your local farmer market with a booth and, your books there to sell, you have to identify how you're going to get in front of your readers if social media is not the way you want to do it. What are the ways that you can get in front of them in real world situations then?
And do you have any, maybe, do you have a story or a case study of someone who used maybe some unconventional marketing strategies, or because when you said go to the farmer markets and you'll see, you can promote your book there,
right?
Like, do you know any authors or who's done something like this?
I mean, farmers market's an interesting option because who's the audience that are going to farmers markets, right? It's usually going to be general public. You're getting a very broad mix of families and individuals and professionals and non-professionals. So that farmers market strategy is only going to be helpful if your book has a broad appeal, which we often say your book is not for everybody. So you can't assume that your book's for everybody. That being said, I think some of the more fun marketing avenues that I've known people to take have always tied back to something that they were passionate about. So, for example, our company founder is Julie Broad. And when she launched one of her books, Julie was a big CrossFitter. She spent quite a bit of time in the CrossFit gym and did a lot of, worked out there pretty often. And so with her book launch, she did books for burpees, or burpees for books. I can't remember what it was, but she threw something at her gym and everyone that came and got a book, she would do burpees. Right? That connected it back to CrossFit. And so it ended up being this really great event because people wanted to come and challenge Julie and see how many burpees she could do. So that was something that was very personal to her that she was able to use to market her book. We had another author a few years ago. Her book was on chronic pain and different management systems and strategies to be able to deal with that. Well, when she was planning her launch party, we wanted to identify ways that this could potentially get some media and some press attention. Well, one of that author's big passions was working with pets because pets can provide solace and emotional support for those that are going through chronic pain. So she partnered up with a local animal shelter nonprofit to help come do her launch party so that every time someone bought a book, some of the proceeds went back to that nonprofit. Well, because of that, she was able to get media and wider attention, and she even got that nonprofit to help promote her book. So because she tied it back to something that she was very passionate about, she was able to reach more people with it. So I think if you're looking for some of those out-of-the-box strategies, go back to the things that you were really passionate about, the things that you pay attention to, and see if you can develop a strategy through that.
Okay. I'm also thinking you need to be resourceful, right, when it comes to marketing. Because there's no one right way to do it. And
absolutely.
And as you're saying, it fits with your, marketing is maybe a reflection of your personality. Could that be like you're shy, you don't want to be on social media, so you do something else. You go, you do live events, in-person events where you speak not on camera, for example. Yeah.
I think being resourceful is part of it. And I think what you need to look at, first of all, before you plan any marketing is, what is my goal with this book? What do I want to see this book do? Is it sell a lot of copies? Is it, I want to use it to get on stages? I want to use it to help change some industry or some message. Whatever that goal is should be your compass when it comes to planning marketing. So, for example, if you have a book that is meant to help one very specific niche form of an audience, let's say your book is just for CEOs of Fortune 100 companies. Well, if that is your audience, it's probably not going to help you to run 99-cent deals, because CEOs of Fortune 100 companies more than likely not buying books off of Bargain Daily Deal newsletters. So how do you need to reach that one niche audience because you want to get in the room with those CEOs? You're going to need to choose paths where you are directly in front of them. That could be speaking at conferences. That could be working with media outlets that directly cater to that genre. So there are 1,010,000 ways to market a book. There really are. There's no one right path. You are 100% right there. There's no one size fits all. Start with what your goal is, what you are trying to do with your book, and then build the marketing around that. We have an author currently who's going to be launching in the new year, and his book is for a very niche audience. It's not going to be helpful for us it'll be for sale on Amazon, but we're not going to be driving a lot of traffic there because he's going to be selling direct to his audience. So setting up promotions where we give it away to different readers, it's not going to help what he's trying to do. So you can pick and choose your marketing activities based on your goals. So if I was trying to get in front of CEOs, I would probably spend a lot more time trying to get on a stage near those CEOs or partnering with organizations that already have those CEOs in their audience than I would be trying to, set up 99-cent deals. So it really does go back to those goals. And that's, even if you're shy, even if social media is a big struggle for you, then you need to look at what are the alternatives. Where does my ideal reader get their information? Who do they listen to? Where do they go for news, content, entertainment, whatever it might be? And then place yourself there.
Have you ever worked with an author who said something like, I'm a writer, I'm not a marketer, so I'm not, I don't know, this is not what I do, I don't know how to do it. And of course, maybe they worked with you at book launches because of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, because I feel there are many of those.
Yeah, there are. There. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're not marketing specialists. So how would you, I don't know, okay, the immediate answer might be, okay, come at book launches and work with us, of course. But right. what if they want to do it without a service, let's say? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What can they do?
Yeah,
how can they change their mindset? Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so it's sort of two different questions there. Yeah. So we do have a lot of authors that come in and are, hey, I'm good at what I do, but I am not a marketer. That's why I'm looking to you. And the first thing that we do, like I mentioned towards the beginning, is I sit down and I help them assess what they already do have. There's a lot of times where people may not realize the things that they have within their background or within their network that can help them market. So this could be everything from what networking groups are you a member of? What alumni groups? Where did you go to school? Who are the people that are within your network that would be interested in your message? And we start there. Because a lot of times I think people go, all right, well, I'm releasing this book, but who's going to care about it? You start with your friends and family, right? Start with the people that are in your circle. Because more than likely, one of them may be able to introduce you to someone that is exactly the right avenue for you. So I did have an author a few years ago. She had a pretty successful podcast, but she was launching her first book and had all of the nerves that go along with launching that first book. She hadn't really talked about it to anybody. And so I started to say, okay, like, who are the people within your network that you can chat with? Like, why aren't you talking about your book? Go out, talk to your neighbors, your friends. And so she started to actually have a conversation with one of her neighbors about the book and what she was trying to do. And the next thing that neighbor said was, I know the executive producer from the Ellen DeGeneres show. Do you want me to send your book to them?
Wow.
And it was like, oh my gosh, of course we want that book in front of Ellen. Of course we do. That door opened because she had a conversation with people within her network. So you do want to look at, who do I already have in my arsenal? Maybe it's an old professor you studied with years ago. Maybe it's an old employer. Maybe it's, somebody within your community. Start small. Don't worry about conquering, the entire country or the entire world. Start with your network and build. Because what you'll start to find as you get feedback and you start to talk to more and more people is you're going to get a little bit more direction into who's actually interested in your content. So I think it is important to start with your circle and then expand from there. Now, I think when it comes to mindset, I've had this conversation many times with people where they're like, well, yeah, I know so-and-so, but I don't really like calling in any favors. And I'm like, well, if you're ever going to call in a favor, shouldn't it be when you're launching a book? Like when you're launching something really huge that has the potential to change the trajectory of your career and your brand? Wouldn't that be the time to call in those favors? So, start with your local network, see who's there, and then kind of expand from there. Now, there are so many great avenues to building more connections as you go. I mean, even just podcasting, right? Talking with different hosts, understanding who are the people that are weighing in on your conversation, meaning your industry, your topic, your category. Who are the media members that are out there that are talking about this and interested in it? Do a show, build a connection, everything is a surprising opportunity if you enable it to be. So I think part of the mindset issue it seems to be this huge uphill battle to be able to get your book in front of people. But in reality, you don't jump to the top of the mountain. You take one step at a time. And sometimes those steps start locally. Now, on the flip side of it, I do have a lot of authors that come in and they're like, I just don't know where to start. Like, I know I've got all of these cool tools. I just don't know what to start with. And we've had many of those authors come through Book Launchers over the years. And so we actually have a really great tool that we direct people to for that. We have what's called our Author Launch Kit, which is an AI-powered marketing software that enables you to go in, you upload content around your book, and it custom makes a marketing plan for you. It says, okay, start here. Here's the social media content you need. Here's how to create your blog post. Here's your media pitch list. Let's create your pitch. And so with Author Launch Kit, it kind of takes the guesswork out of those next steps. I like to say it's like you get the Book Launchers marketing team in a box because you literally get access to all of our knowledge with this AI software. So for those that are like, okay, I can't really work with a big publishing partner like Book Launchers, Author Launch Kit is a good secondary one because it's going to take those steps and kind of demystify the whole process for people that are just starting out. So Author Launch Kit would be my next suggestion for that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll make sure I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send you links for that.
Yeah. Before you mentioned what is your unique value proposition, and I normally say that a book, there are thousands of books on health and fitness, for example, right? So maybe someone who might want to write about health and fitness, they might think, why should I have to write about that? Because there are already thousands of books about the topic. So, and I normally say that if you tell your story, like you tell your own personal story, that becomes unique by default. It's already a way to stand out by telling about your own unique experience. But are there any other ways to make your book unique, except, I mean, besides your story, besides telling your own stories? Or, I don't know, maybe someone who's got a lot of knowledge on the topic, for example. I don't know. Do you have experience of working with someone who didn't necessarily tell their own stories? They didn't get that personal, but they differentiate in another way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the story aspect, you're spot on. I mean, your story and what you bring to the table, your experiences, your perspectives, your knowledge, your mindset, all of that is a unique perspective. And I think definitely factors so huge into the marketing of a book or building a brand. When it comes to some of those other aspects, if it's not just story-based, then what you want to be looking at is how your solution, whatever it might be, differs than what's already out there on the market. Because you're right, there are hundreds of health and wellness books out there. What is it about your perspective that sets yours apart? So that could be in the way you the way you write your book. That could be in the way that you position the book, the content within the book. I have an example. A couple years ago, we've worked with this author for a long time, Eric Brotman, who's this great certified financial professional, and he runs this great wealth management firm. And his book is also, it's personal finance. It's enabling people to start as early as their 20s to really put them on a path where they can retire when they choose to. But what sets the book apart is the fact that Eric positions the book as if it's a college course. So it's called Don't Retire, Graduate. And each year, or each, kind of section of the book, like your freshman year, you're learning about budgeting and you're learning about, the basics of personal finance. And then you move on to sophomore year and junior year, senior year. And so the real fun aspect of this book is that you can go through it as if you're taking college courses. And so by the end of it, you have your degree in personal finance, and there's extra credit, and there's spring break, and all of the fun little elements and thematic tones that go with college courses. And so that really sets the book apart when it comes to personal finance, because it's not just, okay, do your budget, okay, get insurance, okay, here's how to understand your taxes. It's introducing the content in a way that the end reader is able to learn and absorb it as if they were taking a course. Right? Wow. So it changes the learning. It changes how the reader interacts with the material. And so if your story is not the thing that's differentiating you, then how are you presenting your book in a way that's different, interesting, new, exciting, hasn't been done before? And the only way to be able to really do that is market research. Know who is in your category. Know what other books are dominating your field. There may be aspects that you can cover that some of these other books don't cover. I think one other aspect of this is what we call the outcome of the outcome, or the A to B to C. So to be able to put this into examples, like A is the problem, right? Maybe the reader is someone who struggles with personal finance and they can't keep a budget and they're always in debt. B is the solution, right? The solution is your book. Whatever you're going to present them is going to hand them the tools to fix their problem. So at the end of it, they've got their personal finance under control. They're out of debt. But what's the outcome? What's the next problem that has to be solved for that reader, right? So it might be, now that they have all this excess money, how can you help them with that next step? Do they need to save that money? Should they spend that money on a car? Should they go on vacation? So it's not just the initial problem. It's also helping that reader with the outcome of you solving their problem. Then there's something else they're going to have to solve. And so by building a brand that expands past just the solutions in your book and being able to offer, hey, you read my book, you got yourself out of debt, now let's talk about how to build your wealth. and you offer a course, or you offer resources, or you offer a second book that deals with that. And then in that sense, you're able to capture a lifelong ambassador and fan of your work. So once they read your book, what problem can you then help them solve afterwards? That's going to set you apart in terms of brand as an author, as an expert in the field. So we usually encourage our authors to kind of think through that reader journey. Okay, we've solved one problem. What's the next thing they're going to have to deal with, and how can you help them there? I think being able to set up that kind of sequence and understand it from an end user journey is going to help you set yourself apart from all the other competition.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I mean, some people might say, well, this is all like, are we only writing a book to market ourselves, or are we really writing a book to make change? And I think it's both. So the way I changed my mindset, because before I was like one of those writers that I talked about before, like I'm not a marketer. Like I used to see marketing as a sort of, you know, a spammy, like a salesperson who sells you things that you don't want, right? But then I read a book, and that was what changed made me change my mind, which is Your Music and People by Derek Sivers. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but anyway, it's the idea is that marketing is all about being considerate and trying to help another person in exchange for, you know, money, or money normally. Money.
Yeah, buy-in and investment in the idea.
Exactly. But so if seeing it in this way, it becomes easier, because you see yourself as doing something good. You know, you're helping another, your reader. On the other hand, I wouldn't like to see a book, like personally, I wouldn't like to see a book where the author is just every 3 sentences is telling me, I have this course also, or I have this service, and check out my website here. And by the way, I've got this, like a book like that to me would be spammy. I don't know if you agree with me or not.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, people don't really enjoy being sold to.
Yeah,
they don't want to be sold to, but they want to be educated. They have curiosity, and they have challenges, and so they go seeking solutions to those challenges. But I agree with you. I cannot stand being hard sold to, right? Because it just feels disingenuous. It feels like, oh, they just want my money. They don't care what I'm doing. Yeah. And that's a real issue. Yeah.
What about reviews, book reviews? How important are they, you think, or in your experience? I mean,
they make or break your book. They do. They are the lifeblood of your book. They're the social proof. They're the social proof and the credibility piece of your book. I think that reviews are probably one of the most difficult things that authors need to try and secure for their book. And it is the one aspect that nobody can escape. Right? It doesn't matter if you have 1 million people in your following, or if you have 2 people on your mailing list. If your book doesn't have reviews, it's not going to get purchases from new people. And that's just the nature of how book consumption and purchasing works now, right? When we have shifted, I think it's the stat that I read most recently was that Amazon controls 50 to 80% of book sales, at least here in the US. 50 to 80% of the digital book sales take place through Amazon. And by the end of 2025, they expect that to be 70% or higher. Okay, so if that means that 50 to 80% of the buying market is purchasing through Amazon or some other online platform, then they need to shift how they attract the customer on those digital platforms. And the best way to do that is with reviews. So there's a study, Written Word Media put this stat out, but it's something like, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be paraphrasing this. So if you go to Written Word Media, you can probably find the whole statistic, but it's something like that there's higher sales volume for if your book has 25 3 and 4 star reviews than if it has 5 star reviews. What that means is that people look for quantity in reviews over quality. Customers rarely read the 5-star reviews. They read the 3 and the 4 star. They read the 2 and the 1 star because they want the critical review. So let's say you're selling your book on Amazon and your book pops up and a competitor's book pops up and they're next to each other and they are identical in quality, cover, title, all of those things. But one of them has 500 reviews and one of them has 3 reviews. Which one is the consumer going to purchase, right? Yeah. Even if that one with 500 reviews has a bunch of 3-star, a bunch of 2-star, more than likely the buyer is going to go for the one with 500 reviews. So what does an author do then, right? How do you get reviews? Like, number one, especially if you don't want your friends and family reviewing your book, which is the other catch-22. If most of your audience is your friends and family, but yet your friends and family are not meant to review your book, there's some reasons that go into this. Amazon really puts a high emphasis on unbiased reviews. And if someone is coming in with a personal connection, that review is not unbiased. Right? So they're going to flag those.
But how do they know? Sorry, how do they know?
Don't I wish we knew. I wish I understood all the way Amazon does this. But we have some suspicions. We have some suspicions that Amazon tracks things like IP addresses. So if a review is coming in from an IP address that's already associated with your account, things like, they have credit card information. So if your address matches the address of one of your reviewers, they know that that's not unbiased. We also know that Amazon owns Goodreads. Goodreads is a social media platform. It also gives them access to your social media followers on other platforms. So if they see on a platform that your mom is following you on Facebook and then your mom goes and leaves a review on Amazon, they're going to be able to spot that. So those are our guesses. Amazon doesn't give any transparency into how they know this. We can just make assumptions based on behaviors, based on things that we've seen happen. So to get those reviews, what I recommend is that, yes, they put it out to their network. They put it out in their content, that reviews are the best thing that they can do whenever you're speaking with buyers, speaking with those readers. Leaving a review is the most important thing you really can do to help an author succeed. We recommend doing things like putting a call to action page in the back of your book that asks for those reviews right when someone's finished the book and it's fresh. There are great review services that are out there that you can submit your book for and possibly get reviews back. But I do encourage caution. There are some that are unscrupulous, some that are really shady. But if you find the good ones, there's a handful of good ones that we recommend that follow Amazon's compliance and guidelines, terms and conditions in terms of getting reviews. Some of them are great. I mean, Get Books Reviewed, Get Authentic Book Reviews, Gemsy. All of these are ones that we've used and it's worked really well because they follow Amazon's terms and conditions.
Can you then give me the names? Yeah. Yeah.
Getbooksreviewed.com is one.
Okay.
And I'll send all of these over to you in a link so you have them. There's Get Authentic Book Reviews. And then there's one called Gemsy, Gemsy. And so we've worked with all 3 of those.
Okay. But what if, I have a book, I send them my book and I get, how many reviews can you ask for? Like, is there a...
It varies. It varies depending on the platform, how they work. But most of the time, your book might go into like a pool of books. What they always try to avoid is what's called review swapping, where you review a book and then that author reviews your book. That's against Amazon's terms and conditions. Yeah. So you want to avoid those situations. A lot of these organizations, you put your book into sort of like a mass pool. And then part of it is that you're reviewing other books as well. Not the same books as ones that, were reviewing yours, but you're reviewing other ones, and some of them work on a token system. Some of them work on just some other, you earn credits, things like that. So each platform's a little bit different in how they operate. So definitely check out their terms and conditions. But, a lot of the times if you are going to use one of these review platforms, you do need to understand that as the author, you're also expected to review other books. So it's pretty, you don't want to go in and you're not going to get any reviews if you don't put in the time and effort yourself.
Yeah, well, it's good because you get to read. Like, do you get to read for free or?
It depends on the platform.
Okay.
They all have different systems. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And what book are you going to write?
Am I going to write? Oh, I don't know.
Have you ever thought of?
I've been a fiction writer on and off for years, even though I've spent my career in nonfiction. So, I've got a couple of ideas percolating, but actually Book Launchers is really excited because Julie's second edition of Self-Publish and Succeed is coming out on November 13th. So the first edition of that book came out, has it been 4 or 5 years ago now? Self-Publish and Succeed came out, and now we're doing the second edition that's got a lot of content out there about especially AI, how AI works for authors now, what you need to consider there, and just updated quite a few things. So even if people have read Self-Publish and Succeed, you should definitely check out the second edition, November 13th.
All right. Thank you. You mentioned AI. What can AI do for us except for I don't want my book to be written by AI. I want my words there. I know that some authors don't know. I don't know if it's valuable to do it. Actually, no, I think it's not valuable to... I don't know, I have mixed feelings with writing with AI, like a 100% book, a 100% written by AI book. I don't know. On one hand, I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, well, let's say I want to write, quote unquote, a book about fitness. And I'll do all my research through AI, ChatGPT. I use a chatbot, and then I pull all that information and I package it into a book. Technically, I saved my readers' time because they didn't have to go and look for all the facts and everything themselves on AI by using a chatbot. But I wouldn't call that. To me, that's not writing at all. It's not. Yeah.
That's more content creation.
Exactly.
Than it is. Yeah.
And I don't know. What do you think, or what do the authors think? Because you have more contact with them.
Yeah, it's a really hot button topic right now, right? It's a big issue, particularly because you can't. Although this may be changing, but to the last of my knowledge, you can't copyright something that was written by AI. But then again, how do they prove it? It's really interesting, especially too, since we have found that a lot of those AI detectors that are out there that you can, supposedly run content through an AI detector to see how much was AI written, they're actually not really that efficient or accurate. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation. I think that AI is a really valuable tool, and it's just that. It's a tool. It is something that you can use, and there are definitely places for it within the writing process. It might not... I discourage authors from using AI to write the actual content, but working with AI to, for example, flush out your outline and ensure, to work with you on the outline pieces, to work on some of the research pieces. AI can definitely help with the editing process and proofing. And AI, when it comes to marketing, is actually incredibly helpful because it can create the content. If you're like, I don't know how to write social media posts, boom, AI can do that very quickly. If you are looking to put together a video trailer, but you don't have hundreds of dollars of budget to put together a book trailer, there are AI tools that can do it for you in seconds. So there are definitely places for AI within the book process. But I still encourage authors to not use it for the writing process. Use it for all the support pieces. Use it for, for tracking your writing sprints and for tracking your word count and for productivity and for, helping with research in terms of like, hey, I need to find the statistics. Maybe AI is going to help me identify the right one, but then I'm going to verify that this is fact and not an AI hallucination. So there are safeguards that you need to take when you're working with AI to ensure that you're getting accurate and real content back. But when it comes to the actual writing of a book or making music or doing videos or whatever it might be, I encourage the creators to still be the creators. Author. You are an author because you have written a book. You're not an author because AI wrote the book for you. Now find the ways in which AI can help you in a useful way that are productive, that can help cut down on time. But I highly discourage authors from writing their entire book using AI.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about audiobooks. Do you have any? Can you give us any insights into what people prefer?
In terms of
whether, do they mostly consume paper books, ebooks, or audiobooks? Like, do you have any idea? Or
I think it depends on the genre. I think it depends. I think we see that different types of formats sell better in different categories. So we do find that nonfiction books do very well in audiobook. Reason being, a lot of people are auditory. They need to get new information by hearing it. That is just a fact. I think that what has been shown is that audiobooks year over year are consistently growing, where other print and ebook sales have gone down over time. Audiobook tends to go up, sometimes as much as 25% year after year. So audiobooks are not going anywhere. This is a viable platform, like a viable format that is not going away anytime soon. And now Amazon and some of the other groups that are out there, like Amazon now has this program where they can take an ebook and actually turn it into sort of like a voice to text, but a realistic audiobook. Now it is not as, doesn't have all of the bangs and whistles that a fully produced audiobook does have, but it is a good cheap option for those that don't have the production cost. They don't have the production capital to be able to produce a big audiobook. There are AI tools that are out there that can clone voices, so you don't even have to read the whole book anymore. And that is a really good option for authors that want to be their own narrator, but don't have the time to record the whole thing. There are so many cool multi-platform, just kind of multi-experience tools that are out there now where you can be reading along and listening to the audiobook and then engage with secondary materials like workbooks and checklists and go get more resources. And so it's no longer just about reading a book. It's about an immersive experience where you're hearing it, you're reading it, you can feel it. There are all of these different things that you can do now. So what we do find is that certain formats sell better than others in audiobook. We tend to find that business, leadership, those types of books do really well with audiobook. And again, you have to go back to your reader. What are their buying patterns? Do they mainly consume audiobooks? Do they mainly consume print books? Do they mainly consume ebooks? Like, what's the format that they mainly consume? We usually encourage authors, have as many formats of your book available as possible. Have the print and the ebook and the audiobook available. The good news is, with the age of self-publishing and all the DIY tools that are out there, it is relatively easy to refresh and update files and make changes and get the best product out there for your end user. So, even if you release the paperback and the ebook first, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do an audiobook. You can always do it later. So it is something that we recommend for all of our authors.
Yeah. I recommend authors to work with at least one professional. Like at least one professional should work with you on your project. Because when I did when I wrote my first book, it was self-published. And I did it all by myself, and the results is not as good as the second one. So if you work with a professional editor, a professional book designer, an interior designer, so someone who, because then the product, like, you can tell immediately if a book was taken care of or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it doesn't have to cost you like a lot, but at least to hire one person, one extra person, I would say.
Someone who's done it before and is familiar with your genre. That would be the other thing that I would add on to that. If you're writing a health and wellness book, you don't want an editor that only works on children's books. Or if you're trying to do your cover, you don't need your cousin who's only ever done pamphlets for City Hall to design your cover, right? You need a professional that understands the category and understands what readers are looking for there. I also encourage authors a lot of the time. The self-publishing process can be really tricky because you don't know all the steps if you're not in publishing on a regular basis, right? You don't know the order in which you need to do things. And a lot of people go, okay, you're going to need an editor. Okay, so they go out and they get an editor. Okay, now you're going to need a cover designer. Okay, they get this cover designer over here. They get a layout person over there. They get this person over here for marketing. The problem is those different people don't work together. So you've got 4 different creative sources coming in for one product, and you end up with a very disjointed product. So when you work with a company like ours, like Book Launchers, our entire team works on every piece of the book together. Every single team member touches that book at some point, and we all get on the same page in terms of goals, readers, what we're trying to do with it, what that author really wants to pull out of it. And so when you have an engaged team that talks and supports each other and can bounce ideas off each other, it's like the book is just so much better for it. You just end up with a much better product. Actually, I've never thought about this before. And this is what they do in traditional publishing, right? They do everything in the same office, let's say. Okay, final question. What's the best nonfiction book you've ever read? Oh gosh, that is so hard.
I know. Okay, let's one nonfiction book that you really liked. Okay, one that maybe changed you somehow.
Oh, that is a good question. I would say Stephen King's On Writing was really influential for me. If you've never read that, that's Stephen King's memoir/writing guide. And it really opened my eyes into the writing process and what authors go through. Now, I read this years ago, but it is the one that sticks out because some of his tips for writers in there were so profound, but yet so simple. Things that you're like, oh, yeah, I should have thought of that. And it was fascinating to really understand the behind the scenes story of what a man who has produced hit after hit after hit for 50 years now.
Wow.
His perspectives of the industry and what happened there. So On Writing by Stephen King is one I recommend for pretty much any author, fiction or nonfiction. I recommend that. Now, I also recommend, I'd be shameless if I didn't, but Julie Broad's Self-Publish, Succeed and Self-Promote and Succeed, which really kind of spin the self-publishing, ideas on their head, right? Because it's not just about the book. It's about what you're building around the book and what that's going to do for you. And so I think Julie's approach to mindset, how to think about your reader, how to think about your project can really save you a lot of time, energy, and hassle if you read those before you get started.
Thank you. Please send me all the links. I'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank
I'm sorry
you
for the late start today.
Thanks for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're a writer and you want to improve your writing or you want to keep improving your writing, consider joining my private email list, Better Writers. I send one short email every week. I share tips, insights, things that I learn, book recommendations to help you do one thing only: become a better writer. The link is in the show notes or in the description of this video. Thank you for listening once again. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.